there was a murderer in the Oval Office today. So I'm wondering, do you know to whom I'm referring? Or do you find yourself asking the question, which one? Because, of course, there was more than one murderer in the Oval Office. In addition to Donald, there was Mohammed bin Salman, who, as you may know, was credibly implicated in the murder of American journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And yet, this man, who is also responsible for the horrific repression of his own people and acts of violence against women and people in the LGBTQ plus communities in Saudi Arabia, and who has been a benefactor of sorts to Donald and others in his family, including Jared Kushner, was treated with the highest honors. Donald ordered a flyover in honor of bin Salman's visit to America. When Donald was asked about the vicious murder of Jamal Khashoggi, he said, and this is an actual quote from an actual alleged human being, things happen. We're in a lot of trouble in America because we have lost our way. We no longer seem to recognize what the limits are. We no longer seem to care about whether or not lines get crossed as long as the person crossing them has enough power or influence or money, as long as a person crossing them is willing to threaten and carry out those threats. So I found myself thinking why it is that we have gotten to this dark place. There are many reasons, of course, but what is it about our society that has become, or has always been, I suppose, to some degree, so indifferent, not just to the suffering of other people, but to the violence and the cruelty of those who carry out that suffering? It's yet another one of those questions I think we're all going to be asking ourselves for a very, very long time. And it seems fitting, if nauseating, that bin Salman's visit would happen today when the survivors of the horrific crimes of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted rapists and sex traffickers of girls and young women, gave a press conference before the House vote, about which we will talk much more in a minute. It seems fitting because in America, we have proven time and time again, we do not care about certain kinds of victims. We do not care about crimes against women or crimes against children. We don't care enough. And that inability to care has led to the inevitability of so-called leaders like Donald Trump and others. Because apparently what many, many Americans, tens of millions of Americans, value more than concern for their fellow human beings is the complete and utter willingness to be vicious and violent and cruel as long as you can get away with it. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is great to have you here with me. Yes, another dark day in America. Yeah, the hits just kept on coming today, didn't they? Now, allegedly, we're one step closer to seeing the Epstein files, but I have my serious doubts. This, despite the fact that this afternoon the House voted 427 to 1 in favor of the discharge resolution to push the DOJ to release its material on Jeffrey Epstein. Take a look.
These are 427. The nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
That should be good news, right? Well, it's a little suspicious because up until this weekend, we had 218 signatures on the discharge position to force that vote. And with the exception of a handful, and I mean literally 4 or 5 Republicans who signed that petition along with every single Democrat, the Republicans were not going to vote for the release of the Epstein files. And somehow, for reasons we don't completely know yet, Donald completely changed tacks. And instead of stonewalling, as he's been doing for months, instead encouraged House Republicans to vote in favor of the measure, claiming falsely that he has nothing to hide. There's some speculation that this change of heart is because Donald plans to redact the files heavily before they're released and make sure that all evidence, if such evidence exists of his involvement, and evidence tying him to Epstein's crimes, will be scrubbed. But even if that's the plan, and again, that may be successful for reasons I'll get to in a minute, his failure to make this issue go away has clearly been getting to him. On the heels of being widely criticized for calling a female reporter piggy, and I'm not kidding, that is a thing that actually happened, he lashed out at another female journalist this afternoon in response to another legitimate question about the Epstein files. Here's what happened.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. You're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible, and you're not credible as a reporter.
Anybody else so heartily sick of that creature? He didn't win the 2024 election a landslide. He lost the 2016 election by 3 million popular votes. He lost the 2020 election by almost 8 million votes. He won, if indeed that is what happened, the 2024 election by 1.5 percentage points, which is very close, especially considering his opponent had a couple of months, really, to run for office. The other thing is I did not realize that it was the job of reporters to be subordinate. Well, that just tells you everything about Donald's worldview, about Donald's view of the roles other people play in his drama. He is a thin-skinned, weak, pathetic coward who cannot handle legitimate questions being asked of what is the biggest story on the planet right now because of him. This story has gotten out of control because of his ineptitude and his stupidity and his continuing to play checkers while everybody else is playing chess. What am I kidding? He doesn't even know how to play checkers. All he knows how to do is flip the board. So he gets offended that a female journalist asks a legitimate question because it's true. The House didn't need to hold this vote today. All Donald had to do was order the DOJ that is in his pocket, along with his notes and Judge Aileen Cannon, and ask them to release the Epstein files. We could have been spared all of this drama. So yes, Donald, why not just release the files? Which Pam Bondi would do if you asked her. Instead, he doesn't just insult that woman. Not just insult her by saying she's a terrible reporter, by saying she's a terrible human being. He then threatens to revoke the license of the network for which she works. This is not a democracy anymore. This is what Russia does. This is what China does. So we are more than halfway down the slippery slope. And I defy anybody who still supports that creep to defend that kind of behavior. I guess that's just what it means to be presidential now. Shortly after the House passed the measure, the Associated Press reported that, quote, Republican leader John Thune says the Senate will try to pass the Epstein bill quickly and send it to Donald. Well, guess what happened? That's right. The Senate approved the bill to force the release of the Epstein files. And Thune also told us that it will be sent to Donald for signature. Now, I don't know how many senators are going to vote for it, but 2/3 of the Senate has to vote for it in order to make it veto proof. If fewer than 66 senators vote for it, Donald could potentially veto a bill to protect himself from any revelations. Now, that would be bad in terms of the optics. It would make his base very, very angry. So I suspect that the Senate either will pass it with a veto-proof majority, or, in other words, taking it out of Donald's hands, or Donald will allow it to go through. But why would he do such a thing after months and months of claiming that there's nothing to see here, move it along, we don't need to know? Because he's probably been assured that anything implicating him is gone. Or, as I mentioned earlier, the document will be so heavily redacted that the only names we will be able to see are those of Donald's perceived enemies, if they're even in the Epstein files. So yes, we may see some version of the Epstein files, but it will not be a version that comes within a billion light years of harming Donald Trump, because they don't want us to know the truth. Today, as you saw, Donald hosted, and as I mentioned earlier, Donald hosted Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House. Both of them took questions from reporters, and things quickly got awkward for reasons I mentioned. During this presser, one journalist broached the subject of Donald's corrupt business dealings and the Crown Prince's human rights violations, which the United States used to take somewhat seriously, although, in my view, not seriously enough. Take a look.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have.
Sorry, I have nothing to do with my family's business. Sure. Now, don't get me wrong. Donald is a horrible business person. He declared bankruptcy 5 or 6 times. He bankrupted casinos. That is not an easy thing to do because, the house always wins unless the house is Donald. But he always did have my grandfather helping him out. Shockingly, and this is saying a lot because Donald is a terrible failure as a business person. Donnie and Eric are worse. They couldn't negotiate themselves out of a wet paper bag. So there is no fucking way that Donald is not intimately involved in any business dealings that the Trump organization is involved in. Now, again, that doesn't mean he's good at it. It just means that he has gotten himself into a position, thanks to the help of a lot of people, where he doesn't need to be good at anything because he has so much power and influence and has shown himself willing at every opportunity to engage in quid pro quos. It's very easy to get a lucrative real estate contract in Saudi Arabia or anywhere else if you are willing to do favors in return as President of the United States of America. The corruption, it burns. At another point in the meeting, Donald responded to a question about bin Salman's role in the violent death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, as I mentioned earlier. And I want to play this. I spoke about it, but I want you to see it. Because this statement, this is the kind of thing I grew up hearing from him and my grandfather and my Aunt Marianne and my Uncle Rob and my grandmother all the fucking time. His statement was a perfect distillation of just what a monster the person in the Oval Office is.
He's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Things happen. Sometimes you just run into a bunch of bone saws because you stir up controversies by doing your job as a Washington Post reporter. It is deeply disturbing that those two murderers in the Oval Office today have the power they have. But here we are. Today, good news for a change. The Trump regime suffered a very big loss in its attempt to redistrict states and erode democracy. Politico reported that a panel of federal judges blocked attempts to redistrict the congressional map in Texas, which would have swayed 5 districts in Republicans' favor, giving Donald a big advantage going into 2026. Donald, of course, has thrown his full support behind this action to help him steal next year's election. The judges ruled 2-1. That's alarming. It should have been 3-0. That the new map was illegal race-based gerrymandering, which is, of course, unconstitutional. The state of Texas has been ordered to use the map drawn back in 2021. This was a battle won, but the war is going to continue. Bloomberg News reporter Julie Fine explained what could come next in this case. Take a look.
I mean, I would imagine that this will definitely be appealed and could likely end up at the Supreme Court. I mean, first of all, one of the most conservative appeals court is right near us. That is the that's the appellate division in Louisiana. So it could very easily end up there. Obviously, I think this has major implications. When you look at other states, you have California that is talking about redistricting. You have other states that are discussing it as well. This is something that will be paid attention to by the United States of America for sure. Major implications for the midterm elections.
Yeah, it's just kind of fascinating because it does make us think, kind of what's next. We did talk about, you mentioned California, and earlier this month, California voters, Julie, as you know, overwhelmingly approved new congressional lines that could net Democrats up to 5 more seats in next year's House election. So is it tit for tat? Indeed, what happened in Texas is going to happen in California, or not necessarily?
Well, I certainly think so far we have seen this. I mean, Gavin Newsom certainly said we are going to fight fire with fire here. That's what he said, referring to his own state. So, of course, I think people will definitely be paying attention to how this is handled in the courts in Texas. I mean, it's fairly unusual to see redistricting at this time of the year. Generally, you see it every 10 years after there is a census report.
It's not unusual. It's unheard of. There is no mid-cycle redistricting, certainly not to this extent. We have a census every 10 years. It's in the Constitution. You're supposed to count everybody in this country. And that's how congressional districts are determined and drawn. So what started in Texas is unconstitutional. And the fact that the President of the United States asked for this to happen is a bit of a red flag, but good for Democrats for holding firm and realizing that they have to fight fire with fire. Because one of the things that has gotten us into this mess we're in is that Democrats fail to understand, including Joe Biden, not just what's at stake, but what the fight is. They fail to understand not just what the fight is, but with how to fight, right? We cannot continue to play by rules that don't exist anymore. So if the Republicans are going to draw outside of the lines, the Democrats need to do the same thing. Not to cheat, but to keep the playing field level to the extent that that is possible. So I'm glad we got to end on a little bit of good news because holy cow, what a day. I think we need to breathe. I certainly do. I feel like I haven't inhaled. I don't know what today is, but since someday earlier this week. Anyway, once we've inhaled and exhaled, because exhaling is also an important thing to do, we have gotten to our emotional support moment. As you know, I love all things related to the sea. And I love might not be the right word. I don't love all sea creatures. Like, I don't love great white sharks or killer whales or moray eels or barracudas, but I do think they're awesome. I mean, they're amazing, right? I don't want to encounter one at close range. On the other hand, I do love bottlenose dolphins. So this is a video taken off the coast of California of blue bottlenose dolphin. Why do I keep saying blue? Bottlenose dolphins just jumping for the pure joy of it. And it is a wonderful reminder that there is still so much beauty in the world if we just look. That almost makes everything better. All right. Let us get to your questions, comments, etc. Sorry, I know it was a tough one today, right? More dolphins is the answer, I think. Minor Cheryl gifted 1 Maritime Media membership. Thank you so much, as always. And look, a Minor Cheryl twofer. This is, first of all, thank you. Again, as always. This is an Epstein Victim Defense and Security Fund. Yeah, thank you for that. Pamela is a new member. That's awesome. Thank you and welcome. Dave, thank you so very much for that. Joe, thank you as always. Comment. So they voted to release the files. Too little, too late. The Winnie still have to be voted out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, because I'm sorry. There's no way this was a vote taken in good faith. None, zero. So the Republican Party, as it is currently constituted, needs to cease to exist. Ms. Misery 44 is a new member. Thank you so much. It is great to have you here. Just a Normal Cat 5565. Thank you very much for that. Comment. Many thanks for your brave commitment to speaking truth to power. You're very welcome. It's kind of you to say. Best wishes from Sydney, Australia. I love Sydney. It's one of my favorite cities. I wish it weren't so incredibly far away. Very far. But it's awesome. Donna is a member for 6 months. That is awesome. Yay. The bill passed the Senate. It's on the way to Donald's desk. Yeah, well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I mean, listen, if it comes down to Donald doing the right thing, I think we're in for a bit of a ride. Or we're being taken for a ride, you know. Richard, thanks so much, Richard. Comment, I have to hope that the incompetence of this administration will save us, that they miss something if they are scrubbing any evidence. Yeah, because there's probably so much of it that I would not be surprised if they missed it. But I also have to hope that the DOJ is not the only entity on the planet that has access to this information. I remain shocked, truly, that nobody has leaked any of these documents. I just seriously imagine being in that position. You have damning evidence of wrongdoing by whomever, and you do nothing with it. It's just mind blowing. But then again, we see how many people protected Jeffrey Epstein for so long, including Attorney General of Florida at the time, Pam Bondi, and a U.S. Attorney, Alex Acosta. So I guess I shouldn't be shocked by anything ever. Deborah, thanks so very much for that comment. Truth to power. Yes, indeed. Susan, thank you as always. Comment, Donald, we are done with hoax and fake news. So 2016 done. I am so heartily sick of hearing the word hoax, of hearing the words fake news, of hearing him say like nothing you've ever seen before. I am so sick of the bragging about stuff that's completely fictional. It's absolutely mind-numbing at this point. And the fact that anybody listens to this man, that anybody cedes any power to him at all is just sickening. Midas Cheryl, again, thank you. Comment, the bill unanimously passed the Senate. Yeah, it did. And again, I don't think it means anything good. Oh, wait, unanimously. Oh, well, shit. I guess I missed. I went in a whole rant about veto-proof majorities, and they passed it unanimously. So that suggests to me that I think it's highly unlikely Donald will veto it because optics. So that suggests to me that he knows he will be covered. Because I am very sorry. You don't go from stonewalling for months on end and saying there's nothing to see here, move along, suddenly to saying, oh, we have nothing to hide. He has everything to hide. He's been acting like somebody who has everything to hide. We know from his own DOJ that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. Yeah, this is just... I truly hope nobody is fooled by this. But, it's not a lot to hang your hope on. Karnak Magnificent, thank you very much as always. And this is Mary's fucking swear jar fee. Yeah, I'm sorry. I swore a lot tonight. I apologize, but wow. What a day. In the middle of nowhere, gifted 1 Meritron Media membership. Thank you so much, as always. That's awesome. Jenny, member for 5 months. Fabulous. Comment, we love you, Meritron. All the best from Maine. Maine is beautiful. So that's very cool. I have a couple of close friends who have places up there. Yeah, it's just the coast of Maine is just absolutely stunning. Joe, thank you again. Comment, wet paper bag fee. And they aren't worth this much. So true. So true. Nanner 3200, thank you very much. As always for that. Comment today needs many swears. Here's 5 freebies. Thank you. I feel like I swore so much that I should probably rein it in right now, but I am going to keep those in my back pocket. Rose Blue 4205, thank you very much. Comment, Mr. Bonesaw visits Washington. Yeah, Mr. Bonesaw visits Washington and is feted like he is not a murderer. Well, murderers got to stick together, I guess. Speaking of which, Brigid 45, comment to murderers and predators in the White House. Indeed. Indeed. Lisa, wow, thank you very much. That is extremely generous of you. Your comment, thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate what you did. That's truly, we're grateful. Jana, member for 6 months. Cool. Comment, 6 months already, right? Time flies. It's been insane. Thanks for everything you do. It's awesome. Well, thank you for being a member for 6 months. That's incredible. Megan, thank you very much for that comment. Thank you for your truth, Barry. It's hard to believe you are in any way related to this vile thing. Yeah, you know what? You know what I want? I want a DNA test. Yeah, sorry. Family resemblance. No getting around it. I'd like to say I was found under a rock, but sadly, genetics will out. Luckily, the resemblance is restricted to my eyebrows. I mean, other things I suppose too, but characterologically, not so much. So cool. Kathleen, comment. It doesn't matter who the reporter is with. They're all fake news as far as Felon 47 is concerned. Yeah, except for, those outlets that just kiss his ass and I don't know if you know this, but guess there, as mentioned, there was a press conference today with many of the Epstein Maxwell survivors and the handful and some of the Congress people who signed the petition to have a vote forced to release the files. And the Congress people included Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, and Pramila Jayapal, and a couple of other Democrats, I think. Guess what outlets didn't cover it? Yeah, Fox, Newsmax. The real news, according to Donald. Brigid 45 again. Comment or question. Oh, sorry, it's a comment. The journalist should say, "Who do you think I'm with?" Yeah, that would be fun. Or, none of your business. Answer the question. Creep. Agatha Mystery Volunteer, also a member for 6 months. Comment, I can't believe it's been 6 months. I know, it's just crazy. It's weird. It feels like 6 months have gone by very quickly, and it also feels like the last 6 months have been several millennia long. LLN 1957, thank you very much. Comment, fuck, jar money. I did say it for you. And now I'm in trouble again, but that's okay. I was quoting somebody. Barbara is a new member. Thank you so much and welcome. Brandy Bit 1 is also a new member. Thank you, and it is great to have you here. Jane, thank you very much, Jane. Comment, just got home from a family tripedition in downtown Chicago, late fee. I don't know what that is, but I hope it was really fun. Chicago's cool. So there's that. Mendenos, thank you very much. Comment, the truth is a virus. Well, you know what? I wish it were more contagious. Shifty Lincoln, thank you very much. Comment, this all feels like theatrics of the files, Mary. I think the files are scrubbed. Yeah, I mean, I'm seriously, it's just, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Michael is a super sticker. Thank you so much, Michael. Lirio is also a super sticker. Thank you very much. And finally, BreadyBit1, thank you very much for that question. Do you think they will repeal women's rights? Yes. I mean, they are. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just all of the rights, pretty much. And finally, Susan, thank you as always. Comment, today was about the Epstein survivors finally being heard after decades and no one listening. I am grateful. It was a good day for all survivors. Yes, it was. And we actually made a video about this earlier that dropped today. Please check it out. We need to remember always, no matter what insanity is going on with this Epstein file debacle, to keep the victims, the survivors at the center of all of this, because this is, yeah, it is about finding out who is implicated. It is about holding them to account. But why? Why is that important? The main reason it's important is because these women, who were girls and very young women at the time they were abused, raped, and sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and unnamed others, deserve finally some measure of justice. Their suffering, their bravery, their tenacity, their courage, all of that needs to be honored by finally getting to the bottom of this nightmare. So, Susan, thank you for that. All right, guys. What a day. Thank you everybody who's watching on YouTube, everybody who's streaming on Twitter and over at our Substack, The Good in Us. Everybody listening to the podcast. Thank you to all of our new members, everybody gifting memberships, everybody giving us donations, all of our super stickers. You actually help us keep the lights on, and we so appreciate you. Easiest way to support us is to subscribe to our channel. The second easiest way is to watch our pre-recorded videos, because we have at least 2 or 3 of those dropping every single day, 7 days a week. So like those, share them, well, watch them, obviously, and then like them, share them, comment on them. It really does help us out. To our phenomenal moderators, always, and of course to my extraordinary team for doing such incredible work day in, day out, which is not an easy thing to do at the best of times. But on days like today, I got to tell you, it takes a bit of a toll. So thank you for everything you do. That does it for us. I believe it's Wednesday tomorrow. I'll have to check, but I think it is. In which case, I will be back at 6 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope I will see you there. Here, I guess, here. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Good night.